Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're actually going to be looking at the new Natasha Denona Tan palette. I was able to snag this through Sephora, so it is very, 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 very pretty in person. This is one of Natasha Denona's newest launches. It was originally inspired by the Tan Bronze and Glow palette, which came out a couple years ago. I'm going to turn down the brightness here so you guys can get a better look at the colors in the palette. All right, so hopefully this isn't going to be too dark, but today we're going to be playing around with this palette, so you're going to be getting a first impressions. I will be looking to do more of an in-depth review later on with possible alternatives and comparisons from other brands as well. So as you can tell, I have already prepped my face. I did apply a tiny bit of bronzer, and I thought it would be really fun to actually bring out the tan palette from so many years ago, which I do have here. And moments like this make me happy that I no longer declutter because this palette is quite old probably. I don't know that it says when it came out here. I'm going to have to look for that info online. But as you can see, the packaging is pretty similar to the new eyeshadow palette itself. So it has this like a deep bronze color. The tan palette itself, I'm going to show this to you guys as well. It does consist of a glow cream base, a super glow powder, a blush and bronze powder, and the glow impact powder as well. I'm going to show you guys that so you can take a look at what that looks like. And again, I will be bringing down the brightness for you to be able to see it comparable to the eyeshadow palette. I honestly don't know if there's a lot of the face palettes still kicking around because, like I said, it did come out quite a couple years ago, so it's definitely not new. And for today, I did apply blush already and the smallest amount of bronzer, which I will be using this face palette as well to accompany the eyeshadow palette. All right, so just looking at the Natasha Denona website, it does say that this palette was inspired by the sun-soaked glow of Saint-Tropez Summers and the iconic Tan Cheek palette, which is the one I already showed you. It has 14 brand new sandy brown neutrals alongside one iconic Natasha Denona pre-existing shade, which I believe is this one here called Soft Spot. And it's supposed to allow you to capture the essence of toasted skin, beachy tans, and effortless golden hour radiance. So on the back of the box, it does actually say that it contains creamy mattes and silky mattes, as well as duochromes, multichromes, metallics, and sparkling foiled finishes. I don't even want to touch it. This is so pretty. I probably should have taken pictures of it up close before doing the video recording, but well, I mean, what are you gonna do? And you know what? Just looking at it in person, I'd say this color story is probably not like the other ones that she already has existing. Yes, it's browns. Yes, it's neutrals. But I'd say these lean more towards like a chocolatey type of tone. So I'm really excited to use them. Okay, so I had to have a quick intermission. I just had to take pictures while it was still pristine and untouched. But looking at it, I think I'm going to do two looks. I'm going to do a halo look on one eye, and then I'm going to do a softer everyday look on the other one. All right, so the lids have already been prepped. I just went over this with a brush to smooth out any creases that might have happened from me taking so long. All right, let's go ahead and start. So I think I'm going to start with the softer look. I'm going to go in with this shade here, which is called Glide, which I think it looks like it's one of those creamy shades. I haven't been the biggest fan of these previously from Natasha Denona. Wow, that's a lot of payoff. So this might actually be the dramatic look, and I'm actually surprised because I didn't think I picked up that much. And also, I thought it was going to be a little bit lighter, so that's actually very surprising in a positive way because I was a little bit worried that there was just going to be a lot of mid-tone shades here that weren't going to provide a lot of the depth. If you get this palette, don't make the same mistake that I did. Don't even tap the color, just think about tapping it so you get enough color on your brush. I'm going to take a clean blending brush and I'm going to blend out the edges here just to soften that up a bit. So far I'm impressed. I didn't think it was going to be that strongly pigmented. And anyways, as I was saying about those creams, I haven't been the biggest fan of them previously with her other palettes, just because I know it started with the Metropolis palette way back when. The color you saw in the pan wasn't the color you actually got on the lid. It looked a lot darker in the pan than how it came out on the lid itself. So far, I'd say that's the right color. It's showing up the way it's looking like it's going to show up. I'm actually going to go into Lazy this time just to buff out those edges a little bit and soften things up. I'm going to see if I can build up the outer corner of that creamy shade. In the back of the palette, it says that Glide is a SC shade, so I don't know if that means silky creamy. No, I'm not sure what that means. I should have probably done my homework a little bit better before recording. But I'm just going to grab a smaller brush and I'm going to go into that same Glide shade. I probably picked up too much already. I'm going to see if I can kind of build up depth on the outer corner. I don't really see much depth being built there. That's okay. I wonder what the purpose is of having those creamy colors if you can't really build up the depth. Okay, so I'm actually going to go into a different shade. I'm going to go into Dip. You know what? Let's go dark. This one also looks like it's one of those creamy shades. Oh yeah, definitely. And this has a lot of pigment, a lot more than I thought it would. So far for the tone, I'd say this is actually very, very neutral. It's not too cool leaning and it's not too warm leaning. So I do kind of, for the purposes of the video, I do kind of regret not having the other palettes that have come out before this one, which are super, super boring neutral looking. So I do apologize for that, but I do thank you for coming to hang out. I'm going to make sure to do swatches and insert them so that you guys can see how they compare to some of the newer releases. I do have the 5 pan mini that's like everyday neutrals, and I also have the one that she came out with right before this one, which is a little bit larger. It has, I think it's 18, no it's not 18, it's more than 18 shades, but the one that was dramatic and not dramatic. So I'll make sure to put the comparisons, swatches with those as well. Okay, I really like this. This is like this could have been called like the coffee palette or the chocolate and coffee palette. Super actually neutral. I'm gonna now go into the shade Sandal, which is also one of those creamy shadows. And I'm gonna tap that along the edges, see if that makes a difference, provides a little bit of warmth. I'm gonna definitely check what Glide and Sandal look like next to each other when I swatch them, because so far they're looking pretty much the same. I did also get the quads that she came up with. I think it actually might have been right before this one, just because sometimes I do notice that in her MIDI palettes she does have more shades, so you do technically get more products, more variety in product for what you pay. But a lot of the shades I think are very, very similar, and I mean, I don't know that you would actually notice a big difference if you were applying them to your eye look at the same time. In any case, I am going to, let's go with Spritz. Spritz is calling me. So Spritz is the one in the middle here. It's super, super sparkly. I'm going to go in with my finger. It feels very, very gritty. Interesting. I'd say it almost feels fuzzy, like it's gritty, but not like normal glitters. I can tell it has a little bit of a base that makes it emollient, but I thought it was going to be a little bit more emollient. And yeah, this is really pretty. Wow. I'm surprised it's sticking so well considering how it feels. It feels, like I said, very gritty, like a glitter, but it's sticking to the eyelid very, very well. The pictures from the campaign were so beautiful. They were taken probably at sunset golden hour, and the sparkle looked absolutely stunning. All right, so far it looks really, really good. Some of the other shades up close, you can see that they do have little shimmers in them. Brook is definitely one of them. I'm gonna actually apply Brook now that I mentioned it. So I'm gonna go with this one. This one feels a lot more creamy than Spritz. It kind of feels like the cream to powder, which I think is what these are. I don't know what SC stands for. I'm going to double check. But, oh my goodness, so pretty. Okay. You know, when I feel these shades that are kind of wet feeling, it's exciting and everything, and the sparkle is really, really pretty, but it makes me worried that they'll get hard panned. I'm gonna, just a little bit more for good luck, I'm gonna turn down the camera so you, or not the camera, the brightness, so you guys can see what that looks like. This shade is absolutely gorgeous. This would be beautiful if you put any of the other ones as a backdrop, and then just this all over the lid would be a look and you're done. Okay, I don't know if this is very visible for you guys. I'm gonna get closer. Hopefully that'll let you see it better, but the sparkles are absolutely beautiful. I'm gonna go back into dip, and I'm just gonna build the depth a little bit more on the outer corners. So far this is beautiful. It's blending really, really well. I might have just messed it up by going into dip there, but wow, I am impressed. I am impressed. Okay, so I'm gonna say that this is this look. So we've tried 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shades on one eye. And I'm gonna go for a slightly more daytime friendly look on this eye. All right, I've smoothed out the creases. And for this one, gosh, I'm gonna have to go into one of the lighter ones for sure, because I thought Glide was gonna be the lighter of the tones, but I was wrong. So I'm actually gonna go into the shade Paddle. We'll see what that does. I'm just gonna put it in the, wow, I can't remember what this is called. This isn't the crease, just above the crease. That's what I was thinking. Okay, this one's definitely more of the traditional powder formula that Natasha uses in her palettes. This is a very soft, medium transition shade, I would say. I like when shades like this they're brown, but it's like, I wouldn't even say it has a hint of pink. It has a hint of, you know how chocolate milk has like a hint of pink in there, like mauve? That's the color mauve. I'd say that that's what this is like. And don't mind, I have a dry little psoriasis patch right there on the lid. Okay, so far so good with Paddle. I'm gonna take this up a little bit higher just because if you have a hooded lid, you understand. But I want that color to show up, so I'm just trying to take it up a little bit higher. And I'm gonna go in with a smaller blending brush. And now I'm gonna go into the shade Soft Spot. It looks to be a hair darker than Paddle. So we're gonna see if we can kind of not carve out, but sculpt the eye a little bit more. Oh, this is such a pretty color. Those two together, you're definitely going to be able to create like a very, very natural looking sculpt to the eye. Oh, this is so pretty. Also, I did want to make a mention that who else is happy Natasha Denona is available at Sephora in Canada again, because they were gone for a while, which is actually the reason why I missed out on a lot of the launches before this one, because the only way to get it in Canada was through her website, and you have to pay like, I think you have to pay duties or import or something extra after you check out. So I was not going to go through that headache, and I decided to just live my life vicariously through the other people here on social media platforms that were creating looks and reviewing those palettes. I don't know if an announcement was made, but just a small tangent, we're going to go back in with Paddle again. There's a little bit of kick up from Paddle. Honestly, it doesn't bother me that much. It's not too much, I'd say. I don't know if you guys can see that. There is a little bit of kickback. It's not too bad, I would say. But I'm just going back with Paddle here up top. In any case, I don't know if they made an announcement that they were going to be available in Sephora Canada. I missed it. I have been living under a rock, which is why I didn't know any of the beauty news for a while, and why you haven't seen me around too. More about that to come in future videos. But as you can see, I was able to very easily sculpt out the eye shape. So I think this palette would be a wonderful companion to any of the other more colorful palettes. Even to any of the other not nude, but neutral palettes that she has as well. It's super easy to create like a sculpted out eye look, and you can kind of trick the eye by making it look like you have more lid space than you do and things like that. I think I'm gonna go in with the shade, let's do Serene this time. Oh, this looks really soft but still very pretty. I'm gonna go in with my finger for a little bit. I'm just gonna apply that on the outer half. And I'm going to apply a couple different of these shimmery tones on this eye, just to see if it's very noticeable or not that we're wearing different eyeshadows for this look. Again, this is really pretty, and because the base is very neutral, you could put that all over the eye and kind of make like an ethereal look. I'm going to take a flat pencil brush and I'm going to go into the shade Burnt. I'm going to see how it picks up with a brush. I'm normally a fan of doing the finger method better just because I can't always find brushes that pick up pigment very well. It does seem to be going on pretty well with the brush. You're always going to get more payoff with the finger or a silicone applicator. The laws of life and makeup. I'm going to try a different brush to see if I get a different effect. So again, this is a flat pencil brush as well. It's just a little bit denser and shorter. And this one also seems pretty creamy when I go into it. I'm going to have to apologize beforehand because I feel like my ability to describe things has decreased. So I'm sorry for all the brain farts in advance. Okay, but that's also a very pretty shade. I feel like this palette is super, super, super light, medium, neutral skin tone friendly because it looks kind of like I'm just applying like a shimmer shade. I'm sure this does have a base in it. We're going to find out with the swatches, but it's like the base is my skin color. So it just looks like I'm applying sparkles. Now I'm going to actually go into the shade. I'm going to do something a little bit softer towards the front. Let's do, actually no, I lied. We're going to go into Celeste. I'm going to go right dead in the middle. Okay, this one does seem to be a little bit brighter. And you know what? I'm going to go back to my roots and I'm going to use my finger for this. Oh, this looks so pretty. I don't know if you guys can see that there we go. But the sheen is so, so pretty. It has tiny, tiny little spark. Oh my goodness, look at this. I wonder if I should be doing my makeup partially in the dark here for you guys to be able to see. Okay, I have a tendency to do halo eye looks because I feel like that flatters my eye shape the most. I'm trying my hardest not to do that, but I'm clearly failing. This would be a beautiful inner corner color. So I'm just going to get as close as I can. Wow, this is actually more of a play with me type of makeup look. Wow, that's really pretty. I just put it all over the lid, but it's so, so pretty. It's very reflective. I'm going to take a small rounded pencil brush and I'm going to go into the shade Villa and I'm going to apply that in the inner corner of this eye here. And this is more of the satiny. It doesn't actually have any glitters in it, I think. But it does look more of a satiny shade. I'm going to put some of this underneath the eyebrow as well. Not that we need more pop and highlight, but I mean, we're already here. More is more. And on the other side, with a different pencil brush, I'm going to go into the shade Kissed. And I'm going to put that on the inner corner here. Oh, that's so pretty as well. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and use I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm going to turn down the brightness. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this well. But you can kind of see the reflection and the shininess and the sparkle from each different eye look. And I'm going to do some application under the eye as well. The lower lid. Again, I apologize. My brain is all over the place, so I can't remember what words I'm trying to communicate to you guys. Okay, so for this eye, I'm going to go in with the shade Glide. Again, this is a clean pencil brush. I'm going to apply that on the lower lid. I'm going to try to mimic what we did on the upper lid. I'm going to go in with a little bit of dip, mostly on the outside. Run it along the bottom. And now, this time I'm going to use a silicone applicator for the bottom because I know myself, it's going to get messy if I don't. I'm going to go with the shade Spritz. I'm going to apply it right in the center. And I'm going to take the silicone applicator as well and apply the other two. Was it Brook that we used? I'm just flipping it and I'm going to apply this to the outer and inner portions. Okay, so that's one eye. Please remember, the eyeliner and the lashes are going to make this look complete. And for this eye, I'm going to go in with Soft Spot. You know what? This palette I guess tan is the appropriate name because it makes me think of bronzer colors. It truly, like, looking at Soft Spot, it looks like the bronzer that I applied today, like the e.l.f. Primary Infused. I can't remember what shade. It's going to be in the description below, but it looks like that shade. But this is a true neutral. Like, this palette is truly actually, like, you know how pH is measured on a scale of like acidic to basic? Water being like dead in the middle, being a 7. This is absolutely like a true neutral palette. And I think it would be great. A great addition to your Natasha Denona collection if you do have other palettes of hers. Okay, I'm going to, same brush, I'm going to go into Burnt, and I'm going to actually apply that along the lower inner portion here. Not that that's going to make a big difference, but here we are. Okay, and for this side, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use a liner brush, and I apologize beforehand. I'm going to have to use a small mirror to do this trick of the video. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Dip, and I'm going to see how that performs as a liner. All right, so hopefully I didn't pick up too much, but I'm going to try to line my lash line here. Okay, so this is a very beautiful formula. Her cream to matte shadows are beautiful to line with. I'm gonna try not to poke my eye here. But that of course is great news. If you like to create a softer look for eyeliner instead of like a liquid, which is what I will do on the other eye, this shade Dip, very nice. Looking at my face with this little mirror up close, I did get a little bit of fallout. Same with this side and all over. Okay, so I'm going to make sure to get up close to the camera so you guys can see this. It's very fine. Maybe that's on me for my blending. Maybe it's the palette. At this point, I'm really pleased with the colors, so I'm going to want to blame myself, if I'm being honest. I'm not sure how I'm going to get rid of this, but I'll show you guys in a second here. But this is also why I like to do my eyeshadow first before I do my face, so that if I do have any fallout, I can quickly and easily clean that up. Okay, so looking at the palette, I have used the top row, the second row, except for Daydream, the bottom row except for Toasted. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go into the shade Daydream, and I'm going to use that along my lower lash line on the more daytime friendly side. I feel like I can't tell. This is probably one of the cream, not the cream, one of the mattes, the normal mattes from Natasha's palettes. It's hard for me to tell which one is the creamy wet formulation because they're all very creamy feeling. Okay, so I'm just running that one all along the lower lash line. Hopefully it doesn't look like I got hit in the face. But I'm going to get up close so you guys can see the fallout that I have. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see what I'm talking about. I do have fallout along the cheeks, just underneath the eyes and a little bit on the nose as well. So just keep that in mind for when you use the palette. But I'm going to go ahead and do lashes and liner, and then I will go ahead and apply the tan palette to my face so you guys can see what that looks like along with the eyeshadow. Okay, lashes are done. I applied a lip combination here as well. I'm going to go into the original Natasha Denona Tan face palette. So if you can tell here, it does have this little plastic protector. This formulation here is a cream, so I believe that's a highlighter. Next to that is a powder, and then we also have the bronzer down here and the highlight. So I'm going to go in with the powder bronzer, and hopefully this won't be too dramatic. This color here is supposed to serve as blush and bronzer. I'm just going to go over where I normally put bronzer. It is definitely a little bit more orange than what I normally wear, but it still looks really nice with the eye look, I think. This is one of those palettes that I don't know why I didn't use that often. So I still have it. There's still a lot of product in here, of course. But yeah, this is the bronzer. All these years and the formulation is still pretty good. It's blending really well. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my highlighting brush and I'm going to go into that highlighter. For everyone out there who wears makeup, do you normally use your face palettes? Because I find that I stopped buying them actually because I get excited about them and then I don't reach for them. I kind of go for the individual highlighters and things like that. Okay, so I did apply it on my brush. I'm gonna go in. It's not really giving me much. So just so you could see, I'm gonna swatch it on my finger a little bit there. You can kind of see it, so I feel like it's even applying better with my finger. I feel like that might be some sort of like baked formula, it feels like. It's very, very pressed in there. Not pressed, but it does feel like a baked formulation. I can't remember what this is. Let me check the box. It doesn't say on the box, but I do suspect that it's a baked highlighter. I can't even tell where I put it on the brush. Okay, well, I mean, this might have been one of the reasons why I didn't really go for it, because it's not giving me much. I think I'm gonna have to revisit this palette this week. I've been hooked on the One Size Wicked highlighter, which is not new, and the Rare Beauty highlighter as well. I've been using that one for a while. Okay, I'm gonna take a little fan brush and I'm gonna go into that same highlighter. I'm gonna see if I can get some to show up in the inner corner. It does complement this palette really well, come to think of it. I'm going to do some on the bridge of the nose, which I think is going to be able to show if, I mean, the tip of the nose and the bridge of the nose is usually how I can tell if a highlighter is showing up or not. It does give a very subtle glow, which I think is ahead of its time. So I want to say this came out circa 2016. It might have been after that, probably. Let me check. Okay, so it looks like this palette came out in 2019, so I was kind of close. I wasn't too far off. This is, of course, I think in the aftermath of 2016 highlighter, which was Blinding. It's quite nice. I'm going to try to reach for this a little bit more. Something else I found in my drawer was this tiny Natasha Denona Bronze and Glow palette, which was supposed to be bronze and highlighter, but you could also use it on your eyes. I think this kind of closely represents the color story of that palette. The packaging is definitely the same color. Just for reference, size reference, it's super tiny. I'm going to show you the sizes here of the products inside. So this is the Face and Cheek palette, and this is the tiny palette that I found, which I think came out at the same time as the actual bronze palette. But again, you're going to notice the color of the compacts is pretty dang close. All right, so we're going to do swatches now. Just to compare, we're going to do swatches of the palette itself, and then I'm going to try to bring up any other colors that I think might be comparable to this palette here, the tan palette. Okay, so I'm going to go row by row. So we're going to start with, I'm going to read out the names as I swatch them, just so you guys know. So I'm going to start off with the first shade, which is Sandal. Ugh, such a pretty brown color. So another thing that I did want to mention is that back in the day, I think when Natasha Denona first started her brand, she came out with a camel palette, which I'll see if I can find a picture to insert somewhere. But the shade of brown I thought was slightly warm but super neutral. It wasn't orangey. It was just like it was just a perfect, I thought, shade of brown. So it was like a 5-pan palette. It was the larger size palettes, but it was 5. And I always said, I'm going to get that palette. I'm going to get the palette. And I kept waiting because it wasn't available on Sephora. It was available on the Natasha Denona website. And long story short, I waited so long that the palette is no longer available. So when I saw this tan palette, it reminded me of that palette. And for those of you out there that might have that and are considering getting this, let me know in the comments below if it is the same, if there's any shadows that overlap. But I just thought of that when I saw this one here. So this is a very pretty, I'm going to have to pull out the Safari palette because I do feel like it does look like this shade. There's a shade in there, I think. So I'm going to move my bracelet here. So this first shade is called Sandal. Bear with me. This is the first time that I'm doing these swatches here on the video for you. Oh my goodness, it's so beautiful. And it does look really pretty on the eyes as well. And you know what? It came clean off my finger. I thought I was going to have to wipe in between. But I'm going to use a little napkin here next to me. But that actually kind of transferred perfectly onto my arm. Yeah, wow, that's impressive. Okay, so first shade there is called Sandal. Let me see if I can find a description of the shades. All right, so I got the shade descriptions. I'm going to read these as I swatch them. So this first shade, Sandal, is supposed to be a cream matte medium caramel. Very good description. It does translate caramel. Right next to that, I might put a picture of the palette up here in the corner. This next one is called Burnt. Very, very pretty and reflective. This one is described as a sparkling foiled light medium pale. Let's see if I can get that well right next to it. Okay, so this is, again, Burnt. They're not staying on, like as soon as I swipe them, they do come off my finger. Okay, so the next shade is called Brook. This one is described as a sparkling foiled medium brown. Hope I'm not doing them too far apart. And after I'm done, I will turn down the lights as well. Again, it's coming clean off of my finger. I'm impressed. Okay, so next to that, number 4 on the top row, we have Villa. So this one doesn't have any sparkles. It just looks like it's a very muted shimmer. And this one, Villa, is a metallic, light, warm, icy nude. Clean, coming clean right off. Wow. Okay, the last one here on the top row is called Kissed. Oh, that one feels very silky. So Kissed is described as a metallic satin medium caramel. Again, I apologize if the spacing is off. Again, this is the first row. Okay, I apologize if they get closer together. Second row, first shade we have is called Lazy. Let's just make sure I have a good place there. This one is described as a matte, light, medium, sandy nude. That's a lot of words that mean basically the same thing. So again, that's Lazy. This one feels very wet, but not mushy. So then we have Dip, which is the darkest color of the palette. And this is described as a cream matte coffee bean brown, which is exactly how I would describe it too, because it does look like a coffee bean when you put it on. Okay, number 3 in the second row, we have Spritz, which is the one that I said felt a little bit gritty. It's very glittery. And this one is described as a sparkling wet medium brass. So it's going to be right here. Number 4, we have Daydream. Again, this is one of those wet feeling shades. This is, I'd say, the second darkest in the palette. And so Daydream is described, let me put it up here, as a metallic satin medium dark brown. Sorry if that was a little bit low. Again, that is Daydream. And number 5 in the second row, we have Serene, which, oh, I should show you guys what that looks like. So Serene, again, looks super reflective, is a sparkling foiled medium rusty nude. So we're going to go down here. Definitely softer compared to some of the other ones. I'm going to get closer to the camera once I have all of them up on my arm. And the first one from the third row is called Soft Spot. Oh man, I'm so sorry guys. I did not plan this out well. I'm going to have to start going in between some of the swatches here. I'm going to put Soft Spot next to Sandal. So this one is described as a matte medium sandy brown. I'm going to take off my bracelet. Okay, sorry about that. So again, this is Soft Spot, and I'm going to go over it one more time just because it is a lot softer. Not softer, but the swatch didn't come out as pigmented as the rest. It's still very easy to work with, I would say. But this way you can also see what it looks like next to Sandal. And I think I told you guys that one is a matte medium sandy brown. Next to that we have Celeste, which is a metal glossed, so let me make sure the camera picks it up there. There we go. Metal glossed light icy beige. And we're gonna do that one. We'll do it down here. I'm so sorry guys, these swatches are all over the place, but bear with me, this is a learning process. Hopefully next time they come out better. Again, that was Celeste. Number 3 of the third row here is Paddle. I'm gonna put that down here next to Lazy and in between Kissed. This is tough, guys. I understand now why it's so hard for people who make videos to do swatches live. Okay, so that one is described as a matte, light, medium, neutral nude. second last shade here, which we did not get to use, is called Toasted. This makes me think of like a very light almond. This one, Toasted, is described as a metallic medium toasty brown. I'm gonna go back up top here to the wrist. Gonna go again. You know, all of these feel very, very, very soft in a good way. But the colors are very close together, definitely. And then the last shade, which is called Glide. This is one of those creamy matte, cream to powder, I guess. I don't know what you want to call them, but they're kind of the wet feeling ones. This is the last one of the palette, the bottom row here. It's called Glide, and it's described as a cream matte medium dark toasty brown. It's a lot of descriptive words. And this one I will put here right next to Sandal, in between Burnt and Sandal. Okay, so I apologize, guys. This is my first time doing these swatches on the arm for video. I promise to space it out better next time. But I'm just going to get up close here so you guys can see better. And I'm going to turn down the brightness so you can hopefully see the shift in the colors. I'm turning my ring light down to 20%, so hopefully that'll allow you to see what the colors are looking like. This is definitely not easy. It's okay, hopefully it'll get better as I do more of these. This is with the lights at 60%, just so you guys can see. This is with the ring light at 60%. Hopefully you guys can see what that looks like here. And then back up to 100%. Okay, well, that did not go the way I thought it was going to go. We do have this side of the arm that's free, so maybe I will do comparisons there. But pretty much, I did pull out some palettes here. So I have the My Mini Dream palette. You know what brand it is. So this is the My Mini Dream. I'm going to turn the lights down as I show you guys these. I'm going to go down to 40%. Hopefully that will catch it well enough. So this is the palette in question, the tan palette. And this is the My Mini Dream palette. I'm going to get a little bit closer here. I'd say My Mini Dream is just a hair more on the, I don't want to say pink, but maybe like a peachy leaning color. And looking at these, let's see, they are very close. The fact that the packaging here, the background is darker, might make the colors look a little bit different, even if they are really similar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swatch this color from the My Dream palette, and I'll have a picture of the palette up here so you guys can see which one I'm referring to. So I'm going to swatch, I guess this is the last one. So this is called Nurture. So I'm just going to swatch this one on the back of my arm. Very, very similar, I think, to the overall colors in here. So I'm just going to go here for the back of my hand. So this is from the My Mini Dream palette. I do have the larger My Dream palette. So this is the Mini My Dream. Then I'm going to go with Soft Spot right underneath. Okay, I do see a color difference now. I'm going to show it to you guys. So Soft Spot is underneath, and I would say Soft Spot is a lot more neutral, whereas the My Mini Dream does have that slight, more of a pink inclination. I'm going to swatch Sandal as well, just to see what that looks like compared to the My Mini Dream. Again, this one does come up more warm compared to My Mini Dream, Mini My Dream. And then we'll do Glide. It's even warmer, just a tiny bit warmer than Sandal. So Glide and Sandal are super, super similar. It's the last two here. So this one's Glide. No, I lied. This one is Glide and this one is Sandal. Yeah, you know what? Looking at they're close. They're related. You know, they're cousins. They hang out on the weekends. They're super close. But they're not the same. You could probably get a very similar eye look if you used the Mini My Dream palette, but if you're looking for a justification to get the tan palette, that might be it. So just for a reminder, Sandal is here. Soft Spot is number 2. No, just kidding. Oh my goodness. Soft Spot is number 1, Sandal is 2, and Glide is number 3. So I'm going to go in with that Mini Bronze and Glow palette I told you guys about. I'm curious to see this shade here. I suspect this is going to be a little bit more orange. So again, the ones, these are all from I guess it's my tan palette. And I'm just going to put it on top of the other ones. Oh yeah, this is super different. This is very peach and much lighter. I'm going to show it to you guys here in a second. Okay, so again, this is that shade. The first one here is this one. So not the same. I thought it was going to be closer. It's definitely peachy and much lighter. Now going into the Natasha Denona Mini Eye Sculpt palette, I'm going to hold them up side by side so you guys can see. I already feel like this Mini Eye Sculpt is going to be a lot warmer than the tan palette. Oh yeah, it's definitely a little bit more red. We'll swatch the number 2 and 3, so this one and this one. But definitely the other ones are very different. Okay, so again, back of the hand here, we have Soft Spot, Sandal, and Glide from top to bottom. I'm going to go in with number 2 here, which is called Light. I suspect this is going to be too light. The consistency of these ones are definitely a lot more powdery. They feel drier. Not super dry, just compared to these ones, which feel very, much more wet. Okay, so again, this is Light. Oh, yeah, super different. So this one I can maybe compare to Paddle. Okay, so Light from the Mini Eye Sculpt is up at the very top. I don't even know if you can see that. You can kind of see it there. I have Paddle on my finger. I'm going to swatch that up higher. And this one does feel creamier, and it's also a different undertone. Depth is a factor too. So up at the very top, the very, very first one here, this is Paddle from the tan palette. Number 2 there, which is barely visible, is called Light from the Eye Sculpt palette. Again, consistency of the formula is different and the colors are as well. Okay, I have carefully removed the shade Light here. So the first one up top here again is from the tan palette. It's the shade Paddle. And I'm going to swatch the third shade here, which is called Medium. And I'm going to put this one right in that gap where we have space. Okay, this one is closer to that Paddle shade from the tan palette. I'd say it's the exact same undertone, different depth level. So again, shade Medium from the Mini Eye Sculpt palette is number 2. Number 1 is Paddle from the tan palette, and then these 3 have nothing to do with those 2 because they look so different, but same undertone, different depth level for sure. Formulation as well is very different. It does feel drier like I mentioned. And looking at the palette here, I'm going to swatch Lazy. Super creamy. I like how they feel. And I'm going to drag that on the side perhaps just so we can see what that looks like. Okay, so that one, which is right here, I don't know if you guys can see it. That is just shade Lazy from the tan palette, and it's lighter than the one found in the Mini Eye Sculpt palette. I'll get Light again on the, gosh, I'm running out of space here down here perhaps. Oh, it looks a little bit more taupe. So Light from the Mini Eye Sculpt. Along the side here, kind of hard to see, is Lazy from the tan palette. Okay, so none that are identical from the Mini Eye Sculpt palette. Okay, I just went to my little archive behind me just to get some more palettes to compare. I have the Mini Biba here. Oh gosh, this is not even close. Okay, so again, we have the tan palette, and this is the Mini Biba, so definitely a lot warmer. I know it looks like maybe these 2 could match up. They will not, because this one's definitely a lot more peachy corally. Just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and swatch that for you guys. So this one here is called Izzy. So it's right here. I'm going to swatch that in the second place here. So this one is Izzy from the Mini Biba palette. Same color family, but not the same as any of the other ones. I also have the Mini Bronze palette, which already I can tell this is a lot warmer. I'm just going to hold them up side by side for you guys. So again, we have the tan palette, and then this is the Mini Bronze palette, a lot warmer as you can see. Next up, I have the Glam Face palette. This is the dark one, and this is the tan palette. So there is a shade in the middle here in the mini, not the mini, the Glam Face Palette Dark. I'm gonna see what that looks like, if anything. The other ones are definitely a lot warmer. So we have Smoke. I really liked how the Glam Face Palette colors look like. For me, they always crease though, so I didn't wear them as much as I would have wanted to. Here we go. This is the shade Smoke. And I'm gonna hold it up next to, I guess, the darkest one here, which is Dip. Okay, so these are comparable, I would say. I'm gonna swatch them along the arm here. So this is Dip, which is from the Tan palette. It has that coffee color description. And this is the one from the Glam Face palette. I can already tell the Glam Face palette is going to be much lighter than the one from the Tan palette. But just to show you guys here. So this one is from the dark Glam Face palette. And this one is from the Tan palette. So similar but different. On the arm itself, now that I look at it, it's actually quite similar. I don't know, you definitely would not be able to tell which one I was wearing on which eye if I did a side-by-side looks that took colors from different palettes. If I had to give a description, I would say that the Tan palette is maybe just like a hair slightly more warm leaning, whereas the one from the Glam Face palette is slightly cooler, but very, very similar. Okay, next up I have the Glam Face palette light version. So it's this one here. I can already tell this is also not going to be the same. I think the two darker shades here, Crease and Smoke, are going to potentially look like one of the ones I have swatched in the back of my hand. I will swatch that as well, but I don't think it's going to be actually the same color. Okay, so all of these here are from the Tan palette. I'm going to do the shade Transition from the light one that you just saw. I'm going to put that here in that empty space. This one's definitely more peach. Close to this one from the Tan palette. Very, very close. Just a slightly more peach, this one from the light Glam Face palette. Okay, now I'm going to go in with the shade Crease from the light palette. Same place where Transition was. And yeah, no, this one's lighter as well. Similar color story, but different. So that's this one here. Again, this is from the Glam Face palette, the light version, the shade Crease. Definitely a little bit more peach than the neutral ones from the Tan palette there. Okay, and lastly, I'm going to go in with Smoke, and we're going to compare it. But again, I think it's not going to be the same. You guys have to remember, Natasha Denona is a brand. They have a whole team that makes sure that they're not reproducing the exact same palette. It's going to be the same but different. So this one is actually pretty close. So it's number 2 here. This is the shade Smoke from the light Glam Face palette. Similar, I would say. Not identical to any of them, but very, very close. I'm impressed. I really like these palettes as well as the dark one. I just wished that the blush in here would have been powder instead of the cream one. I know a lot of people had problems where they would get hard panned, and I'm just not a fan of cream blushes. I prefer liquid or powder, but not crazy about cream. Okay, next up I have the larger My Dream palette. I have to find the larger I have a larger Biba palette as well. Again, Tan palette here. And not even close. This is the My Dream palette right next to it. Very, very different. Family, but not quite the same. I'm gonna, Nurture's the one that we swatched earlier from the mini palette, so we already know that one doesn't actually quite capture the other ones from the Tan palette. Okay, and who remembers the Safari palette? This one, I feel like the color story was so inspirational. I hope that Natasha gets back to these types of color stories. And if the matte formula in this one was what the mattes are today, oh my goodness, this palette would be unstoppable. This is the stuff that I really miss. And this is why I've thankfully found indie makeup that has colorful stories like these. So these are all still neutrals. But anyways, loved this palette. Never gonna declutter it. So again, this is the Tan palette, and this is the Safari palette right next to it. I think there might be a shade here, Tamarind, which is this one here. I'm going to swatch that one to see what it... Oh, so soft. I'm going to do Tamarind, Thorn, and Shea to see if there are any similarities. So Shea, Thorn, and Tamarind. We're going to see what happens here. So I can already tell these are not going to be the same. They're actually quite darker, much more darker. So the first one here I'm going to put in this gap is going to be Tamarind. Yeah, I know this is much lighter, a little bit more yellow leaning. Would have been nice in that color story of the tan palette. I think it would have gone really well. So that was Tamarind from the Safari palette. Next we have Shea, which I'm going to do down here. So this one here is Shea. And then underneath I'm going to do Thorn, which looks like Thorn could be related. I have that backwards, I think. Sorry, Shea was the last one I swatched. So this one here, this one is Thorn and this one is Shea. Shea looks like it could be related to the brown one here. This one is from the tan palette. I can tell because it's a little bit creamy. It has just a little bit of sheen there from it being wet. So the Safari palette is a lot drier. I'd say, oddly enough, Dip looks like if Shea had a glow up and a new formulation. I'm going to swatch that next to each other so you guys can see it better. Okay, so this is Shea. And this is Dip. Hopefully you guys can see that. The formula is different, but the color is actually pretty much the same, I'd say. All right, so next up I have the Mini Nude palette. You would think that maybe this one has similar colors, but I suspect it will not. Tan palette here and Mini Nude. These look a lot warmer than the true neutral of tan. Looking at two of the shades here, so looking at this one here from the Mini Nude palette, I'm going to swatch that on my palm and I'm going to take the shade, must have been Burnt here from the tan palette. Oh yeah, very different. No, I thought maybe they could look similar, but they are quite different. So the first one here is an older formulation. It does look a lot more powdery. So this one is from Mini Nude and this one is from the tan palette. Similar but different. Same color story. I don't know if you guys can see that. Same color story, but one is lighter, which is the one from the Mini Nude, and the darker one is from the tan palette. Okay, we're going way far back, so I got my Star palette. So I'm gonna see if I can hold these up next to each other. Might be a little bit challenging, but bear with me. All right, so we got the tan palette as well as the Star palette. Might be more helpful if I do it this way, perhaps. So there might be a shade in here. I'm gonna swatch Titania from the left side as well as Earth. Oh, these are so creamy. These were amazing. So expensive, but so many years later and the formula still has held up. Okay, so this one here is again from the Star palette as well as this one. So I'm gonna do the dark one here next to that Dip shade. I see a little bit more taupe. So that was the shade Earth down here. And then I'm going to do Titania here, right underneath the other ones. Very creamy, lighter. I'd say it looks a lot like same color story family, just a little bit lighter. Interesting. Okay. I see you, Star palette. This was a really good one. I'm going to do one more swatch here from the Star palette. I'm going to do Gemma. I'm going to see... No, it's probably not going to look like any of them. I'm going to do Gemma up here. It's a little bit more purpley. So Gemma is number 2 here. Similar but different once again. Man, this feels like an Easter egg hunt. But yeah, of course, like I said, there's a whole team for the Natasha Denona brand. So they're going to make sure that there's no identical dupes. Okay, next up we have the Biba palette. Ugh. So beautiful. Look at this. Natasha, give us these neutrals. These are spicy neutrals. And these are the larger pan sizes as well. So we have Biba on this side and then the tan palette on the other side. Of course, you guys feel free to pause the video as we go to see the palettes next to each other. Okay, so I can already tell this one will not have any either because looking at Freckle, which is from the Biba palette, so creamy, oh my goodness. And I'm gonna take Freckle and Seed and Heck, we'll take rustic, but I already know rustic has a different finish, right? It's a little bit more satin metallic, whereas even just Brook here from the palette, it has more of the, I don't want to call it holographic sparkles, but it's sparkles of different colors. So if you look at it up close, this shade here has like blue, red, silver, orange. It just have like, it has different small sparkles, that one. If you guys get a chance to go to a Sephora, swatch them. Swatch the sparkly shades, they're very pretty. Okay, so I have Freckle, Seed, and Rustic from the Biba palette, which I will do down here at this point. So we have 1, 2, and 3. They're not close, I would say. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. You decide. Yeah, very different. Freckle, I guess, kind of wants to look like the ones up top, but it's a slightly more orange. Such a beautiful palette, Biba. Okay, almost done, I promise. I know this one's not going to look the same. This is the bronze palette. No, definitely not. The bronze palette is a lot more orange. So if you want to think of it this way, this one is a natural tan from going to the beach and on vacation. And this is an orange spray tan that you would get before you go on vacation. So very, very different. There isn't even a shade in here that I could honestly swatch and say, do a comparison for, because it's just much more orange for the bronze palette. One other palette that I almost forgot to compare it to is the Natasha Denona Eye Sculpt Texture and Tone palette. So again, this is one of the newer releases. It has the midi size palettes, but this one's going to be very different as well. So I'm just going to hold it up here next to each other, just so you guys can see. So we have the tan palette, and then we have that texture and tone palette here. So pretty different. I think perhaps W1, R1, and Y3. So I'm just going to swatch these here. The undertones are so different here. So we have like orange, kind of pinky and neutral. Very different from the ones from this palette. So the bottom two right here are the ones from the tan palette, and these are from the Eye Sculpt Texture and Tone in the dramatic version. And then for the dark shade called Dip, I'm going to do that here. I'm going to take C1 from the dramatic palette, which is a lot darker, and N3. Okay, so up at the very top there, we have Dip from the tan palette, and then the following two are shades from the dramatic texture and tone palette. All right, so, and the last one here that I thought might be relevant from the Natasha Denona palettes I have in my collection was the original gold palette. So pretty. Okay, so I believe there's a lot of similarities between the old gold palette and the new gold palette. I do not have the new gold since I have the old gold, but this is the tan palette, and this is the gold palette. So if anything, I'd say these probably are slightly the closest. I will cheat a little bit. So, okay, here's the truth. I do love Natasha Denona, but let's be real, the palettes are expensive. And some of the color stories, I don't know if I'm, fully convinced on them. So what I have done is there's a brand that I found on Amazon, which is honestly a dupe for some of the Natasha Denona color stories. So what I did was I'll get the dupe, see if I like the color story, and then I'll buy the Natasha Denona one. Spoiler alert, I just stayed with the Amazon versions because I was just kind of saving myself for something bigger and better that would attract me, much like the tan palette did. So I'm going to bring those out to kind of set them up side by side. Okay, so if you guys follow Jen Phelps, she actually kind of put me onto these. I was watching her video and she said they were a dupe for, she had the Natasha Denona version of the palettes, but this one is supposed to be like the glam palette. Natasha Denona team, I hope you skip through this part, please. So this is supposed to look like a condensed version of the glam palette. Again, the colors are supposed to be super close. I cannot confirm or deny, but I'll hold it up next to the tan palette so you guys can decide if there are any similarities. So this is the tan palette, and this is that other palette that's supposed to represent the glam palette. Definitely, I'd say it's a little bit cooler than the neutrals from the tan palette. And I'll go ahead and swatch one of these, which is called, we'll do 3. We'll do sand, stone. I should hold it this way. Stone, sand, and dirty. I do apologize. I haven't been swatching the shimmers. I can already tell you the shimmers are going to be so different than what I have in the palettes from the collection. Just because I feel like her shimmers were less dimensional previously in other palettes, whereas the ones in this palette, those different colored micro sparkles give it more dimension. So I can already tell you there's nothing like that in her previous palettes. Okay, so going into sand, stone, and dirty. Okay, so we have sand, stone, and dirty. Let me take a look before I tell you what I think. Oh no. No, so the lightest one here is definitely a little bit more peachy pink compared to these ones. Very close, but not actually the same. It's lighter for sure, I would say. And the second one here is a little bit more taupe, and this one is just a little bit more gray leaning as well. So again, for reference, that's supposed to be what the Glam palette looks like. Okay, the next one that I have is a mini version of the I Need a Nude palette. So this one's going to be way too pink. I can tell you that already. If anything, this I Need a Nude looks a little bit like the Biba palette. So we have tan palette here, and then the imitation of I Need a Nude. So even the lightest colors there, I can already tell they're going to be way too peachy pink. Yeah, even Toasty, which is the one up here, it's definitely a little bit too gray comparing it to Soft Spot. So I feel like there's no real need to swatch those because they're so different. And I think I totally skipped over the gold palette, so we'll come back to that one. I showed it to you guys, but I didn't swatch it. Okay, back from the sidebar, back to the gold palette. So as I mentioned here, this is the OG gold palette. I'm going to swatch a couple of these. I'm going to have to read you the names with the little cards insert here. So I'm going to swatch Aria, Sand, Teak, and Log. So it's going to be for reference Aria, Sand, Teak, and Log. I suspect they will not be the same. I'm noticing a common trend, but we will see. Okay, so definitely I think Sand, which is the one that's going to be coming from my pinky, is going to be too yellow. It's actually quite close, I'd say. Interesting. Same family, but a little bit lighter. So Sand is very similar. Then we have this. Oh, it's just also similar. Interesting. Okay, so the gold palette has some good contenders. Wow. I'd say even the dark shade here in the gold palette is very similar to that dip shade, with dip being slightly more neutral brown, and this one is a little bit cooler purple coming from the gold palette. And then the last one, this one is a little bit more orangey, I think. Overall, you know what? Looking at all of the swatches that I have done, I think I'm ready to give you my final verdict here and thoughts. Yeah, see, okay, even just looking at like this, okay, this is an example. So this one looks like it's hard panned, but this is from the gold palette. I'd say it's almost more of a topper. I'm gonna see if I can swatch them on my hand just so you guys can see. So this is from the gold palette. Can you even see that? I hope you guys can see it. It's more of a topper. It's pretty dry. So the formula, even if the color is similar to some of the previous palettes, it's not going to be the same consistency. And those, I'm going to swatch Brook up close for you guys again. So pretty. It has, this kind of makes me think of indie palette shimmers. I don't know if the camera is going to capture it, but it does have dimension in the sparkle. The base is quite light as well. It's not as dark as it looks in the pan. Very pretty. Okay, anyways, again, I got distracted. For my final thoughts, having tried on, let's bring up the brightness. It's a little bit too intimate. Let me turn up the light. Okay, hopefully I didn't make a bad call by turning down the lights so you guys could see the colors better. But my final thoughts on the tan palette here. This is a very beautiful palette. Are the colors innovative and groundbreaking? No. You probably have very similar colors to this in your collection. Even if you don't have Natasha Denona palettes, you probably have ColourPop or any other brand of colors that does shades in neutrals. So keep in mind what you are paying for with Natasha Denona is the brand, the formula primarily. As you saw from my collection, I do have some very, very old palettes which are probably past their shelf life. But if you store them properly, you take care of them, use clean brushes, don't blow on them, things like that, they will last you a very long time. And working with this palette, I have been using some drugstore palettes recently just to kind of see what's out there, if drugstore neutral palettes have improved. A lot of them are chalky still to this day. So I do think you do kind of get what you pay for in a sense. I know some of you might not like to hear that. But this is a very beautiful palette. Again, the formula, very, very creamy and dreamy to work with. I'd even say somewhat moussey when you touch it, but it's not squishy. I think I would have liked it if there was, but this is just a me problem where I feel like I always ask for this, but I like when there's a lot of contrast in a palette. So if there's a really dark color and a really light color, this has a lot of mid-tone colors. So Glide, Sandal, Soft Spot, very similar. I don't think that you could put all three on the eye and get compliments that say, wow, I can tell you're wearing 3 different colors. It'll probably look like you just worked with one color on your lid. So this brings me back to my point about these midi size palettes. I know a lot of people prefer these over the quads that came out, which I forgot to mention that we can compare these as well. Because the quads is only 4 colors and this has like what, 18 colors? 15 colors. Math is not my strength. But it kind of depends on you as a consumer, because you do get more color variations here, but the variation is like so minimal. I think an eagle could tell, but a human with the bare naked eye wouldn't really be able to tell. So you're the only one who's going to know that you're wearing 3 different shades if you try to mix those 3 that I told you about. The sparkles are very pretty, definitely. It makes me nervous when the formula is that soft, kind of wet feeling, because I get PTSD of hard pan eyeshadow shades. So I don't know, time will tell if they get hard pan or not. I mean, honestly, if you want to treat yourself and you have the money, you won't break the bank, I'm sure you're going to like this palette. I definitely did like it. I think this is something that you could use every day. It allows you to create more, I'm going to say, exciting in a boring way because of the sparkles and the shimmers in here. So something to make you feel a little bit special without getting a little bit crazy and touching or dipping your toe into the world of color eyeshadow. Very, very beautiful palette, super everyday friendly. You guys know if you already have something like this in your collection. I think a video I'd be interested in doing would be, see, but I already know I know what's going to happen. I was going to say comparing indie eyeshadow palettes to the Natasha Denona one, but I mean, you guys let me know if you're interested in that, comparing the neutrals from indie palettes to the Natasha Denona neutrals. Overall, it's a very, very beautiful palette, I would say. Yeah, I don't know, it's kind of up to you guys. You saw the comparisons I made with the ones from my collection. Really quick here before I let you go, as if I'm keeping you hostage, you guys can click out at any point. But I'm just going to bring up some of those little quads. And I think I keep forgetting to finish my sentence. So what I was going to say is, like, with these bigger palettes, you do get more different colors. With these quads, I know people were up in arms that it's only 4 colors, it's so expensive. Yes, but the size is a lot bigger, 1. And 2, let's be honest, if like 5 of the colors in here already look the same, does it make a difference that you're technically getting like 5 different pans, but they all kind of look the same on the lid? So that's why I opted to get these ones, because these are all just the matte formulation, which I like. These ones can sometimes be like a box of chocolates because you don't know what you're going to get with Natasha experimenting with her creamy formulations or satin, whatever the heck you call them. So these are, I guess, for a specific target audience. These ones I think are a lot simpler. It's easy to make a look with these 4-pan palettes. I don't miss having as many shades, I think. This is actually a really good comparison. So this is the Natasha Denona Luxe Glam Compact in the shade Nude. These look very similar, actually. I'm going to turn down the lights again. Sorry, last time, promise. So hopefully you guys can see the comparison. So this is the Nude quad with the bigger pan size, and this is the tan palette. This one's very close. I'm going to do one final set of swatches here. Already I can tell you that the formula is going to be, the consistency is going to be different because the tan palette has those creamy kind of wet shades, whereas the little quads there are just the mattes, creamy mattes. I don't know what she calls them, but they're not actually creams, they're just mattes. Okay, so we're gonna start from scratch here. I'm gonna take off all the swatches. I'm so sorry, this video is like an hour long probably. Okay, so clean back of the arm. I'm going to try to get them all in the back of my hand because it's only 4 of the Natasha Denona quads. I also have the other Luxe Compact in Cool as well as the rosy one, but the rosy one's going to be too pink. I can already tell you guys that for sure. Yeah, this is definitely a lot cooler. So this is the quad in Cool and this is the tan palette. Similar, but not exactly the same. So I'm going to swatch these 4. Oh, so dreamy. Those mattes are amazing. Okay, so we're gonna do... Okay, so this one is from the quad. It's the light shade. It's called... Sorry, I'm doing some mental math. If I look at it this way, it's called Atik. So this is Atik. I'm gonna do from the Cool palette. No, I'm not even gonna touch the Cool palette because it's too cool. I can already tell you that. So this is Atik, like I mentioned. I'm gonna do Paddle right underneath. Soft Spot. Looks very close. I'm gonna put Soft Spot next to Atik as well. Yeah, those two might actually be the same. And I know Glide and Sandal are not gonna look the same. So yeah, those are actually, I think, the same. Okay, so the first one here, this is Soft Spot from the tan palette. And this one is Atik from the Nude quad. I don't know if it's going to look different on camera, but it looks the exact same to me. Maybe I've been looking at swatches for too long now. So those two are the same. I might have found a dupe after all. And then I'm going to swatch the one called Shia, which is this one. Shia? I have no idea. So this is Shia. I'm going to swatch Daydream from the tan palette right underneath. Okay, this one actually looks very similar. And I'm going to do Dip underneath as well, but I think this one's too dark. Yeah. Okay, we're getting places. So this is Shia from the quad. This one is Daydream from tan, and this one is Dip from tan. I can tell you Daydream looks the same, but the finish is slightly more shimmery. So Daydream from tan is more shimmery than Shia, but same color. I don't know if you guys can see that. And we're going to do Brook from tan, and we're going to compare it to Drift from the quad. Okay, I'm going to have to use my palm. So this one is from the quad, and this one is from tan. Interesting. Okay, so Brook is less pigmented, and the shimmers are a little bit different. Okay, so very close, but actually different. But you know what? If you guys have the nude palette, you basically, I think, already have the tan palette. Okay, I'm going to do the last one here, which is this called Flutter. Soft but flaky. I'm going to do that one here. So this one is Flutter, and I'm going to go with Villa. And we can try Celeste as well. So this one is Villa, and this one is Celeste. Okay, so this one is from the quad, and these two are from the tan palette. You know what? I'm going to say it. If you guys happen to have the nude quad, you can do a lot of the same looks that you would get from the tan palette, with the exception that there is no shade for spritz and no light matte. So I'm going to show these to you guys one more time. This is amazing. I'm so happy we finally got here. I almost forgot. But just up really close here, swatched is pretty much, I think you will do very similar looks. Like I said, with the exception of that really light matte. Interesting. Okay. So my final verdict, I mean, it's beautiful. I don't think you'll regret it. I have both and I'm happy I have both. I might have an eyeshadow addiction problem, but that's a whole different topic. But yeah, here are the shimmers one last time. But what do you guys think? All right, so I've taken up enough of your time. This is the finished look with the face as well as the eyeshadow palette. tell me, what do you think? Do you think you're going to get this palette? I hope you guys liked today's video. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate any comments that you guys leave below. If you hit like, if you subscribe, I'll be very happy and you'll get notified of my next video. So thank you guys so much for hanging out, and let me know what you guys think, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!